Welcome back to the channel, everybody. Tyrauku here, and today we're going to be talking about the 140 Ancient Shard Guaranteed Champion, Goffred Brassclad. So I wanted to get this video out as soon as possible. I wanted to get some decent testing in for him, and I think I've learned a few interesting things when it comes to the arena. But I want to go over all the different areas you can use him. So Goffred, 140 Guaranteed Champion. Now, I know a lot of players are actually saving for the upcoming Pumbaa Fusion. Basically, this guy right here, Mighty Uko, is like the metal version of Pumbaa from Lion King. So you see the similarities? They're amazing, okay? So this upcoming fusion looks so incredibly good, and a lot of players are just saving their shards because a lot of times the summon events, if you don't do them, it's going to be very, very difficult to finish the actual fusion. So I definitely understand if you're going to be saving for that. But let's go over Goffred, and if you've kind of been on the fence, hopefully this can help decide if you want to jump into getting him or sit back and just not pull shards for him. So when it comes to his gearing, I honestly don't think the reaction gear is actually needed. I do think you need either stone skin or artifacts or reaction accessories. You don't need both of them like I have here, but basically you want his passive to work. If he dies, I don't think his passive can even work, so you don't want him to die, at least not first. Ideally, most situations in the arena, he's going to be in a go second team. So this gear right here is what I have. Stone Skin, I think, works the absolute best. Pushes HP up good because Stone Skin shield or the Stone Skin amount protected scales based on your HP. So pushes HP up pretty high. Defense, I just have it because I have a defense percent chestplate in Stone Skin. Don't have anything better. So get good HP, reasonable defense. He's a defense-based champion, so it should be pretty easy to scale that up. The speed, ideally, you want him faster than your damage dealer, or at least that's what I found out to work the best for me in the teams that I've tested. So good speed for your team. Resistance doesn't really matter. And then accuracy, ideally, if you're going to use them in the arena, push as high as accuracy as you can get for that A2 ability. I mean, an AoE stun is absolutely amazing. If you're going to use them in just PvE content, so like dungeons, faction wars, I'd say like 200, 250 should be more than enough for any area you're going to use like that. So as far as his abilities go, I don't have any of them booked. Honestly, if you're using him only in the arena, I don't think you really need his abilities booked. If you are going to use him in like dungeons, faction wars, then you may want to book this A2 ability. I mean, a 75% chance on an AoE to place a stun isn't bad, but getting to a 100% chance on a 3-turn cooldown is absolutely amazing. So if you guys can drop the books in there and if you can afford them, it could definitely be worth it. I don't think, for me, the risk of booking this A1 that doesn't need the books, or the possible risk of booking this A3, which is good if you're going to use them in PvE content, so dungeons, faction wars, and things like that. This A3 ability is very good. Increased defense and a cleanse of decreased defense and weaken on a 3-turn cooldown. Very solid. So both of these abilities are good if you plan on using this guy in all those different areas. But it all depends on how your account is as far as books. Now, as far as his masteries go, basically I'm building him to get more accuracy because accuracy is very needed, especially to place that stun AoE. I also picked up lasting gifts to extend the duration of the increased defense, which is a nice thing to have, right? And then some typical defense masteries, so on and so forth. So honestly, you guys can do this however you want. If you want to use him in like clan boss, which honestly I don't think he's a clan boss champion, but if you want to do that, pick up War Master, go the offense side. But so far, I haven't built him for damage. His A2, I believe, has a 3.5 multiplier, which is fairly strong, but definitely not going to be a nuker if you have somebody like Ragash, somebody like Solus, one of those other defense-based nukers. So let's jump into the different areas, and let me go over a little bit on how he can be used, okay? So all the keeps, he's going to be okay. Obviously, if he's weak affinity, it's not going to be as great, but he brings very good wave control, okay? The A2 ability, AoE stun, on a low cooldown if it's booked, 100% chance if it's booked, you're going to be able to lock the waves down very, very well. And I picked up the mastery for him that actually gives Leech AoE, or chance to place Leech AoE, whenever he places stun, sleep, fear, I believe, or true fear. So this one right here. So basically, you're going to have leeches spread across the enemy team, getting some heals. So it's a very nice setup. He's going to be a very good champion in general as far as progression, okay? As far as all the dungeons. Honestly, Ice Golem, control the waves, get to the boss. He's not going to do so much damage where he's going to activate the Ice Golem's Big Slam. So you don't got to worry about that. He's going to give your team some good survivability. He's going to place a decreased defense, I believe, on the A1 ability, as well as a chance at Provoke. Provoke doesn't matter on the Ice Golem, but he's going to bring a solid kit to literally all the dungeons, okay? He even has a double hitter for the Fire Knight. So when you go to the Fire Knight, if you need to bring him for wave control, if you don't have like Seal of the Drakes or something like that, then he can definitely be good wave control for the Fire Knight. And when you get to the Fire Knight, just turn off the other 2 abilities, leave the A1 on, and you're going to be good to go. I mean, an increased defense plus the AoE stun brings you a lot of control and a lot of survivability for all of these dungeons. Now, obviously, if he's weak affinity, it's going to be a little bit tricky. But even for Spider's Den, increased defense, as well as stun are great debuffs to have. So I'm not going to jump into any of the dungeons because I think that's pretty self-explanatory. You can build a team around him and you should be good to go. Now, if you have Seal of the Drakes, which you very well may already have, then you can throw her in there alongside him for some extra stuns. But obviously the stuns are not going to extend the duration, so you may not even need Goffred if you have somebody like that. Now moving over to Faction Wars. Faction Wars, this guy is going to be incredible, okay? Obviously the waves, they're going to be irrelevant because you're going to be stunning so frequently. Now if you're building him for PvE content, not for PvP, you're probably going to want to go faster speed because you're going to want to get around to that AoE stun. You're going to want to get around to that increased defense as frequently as possible. So in that case, I'd push his speed high, I'd push his accuracy high, and then not worry about stone skin, not worry about the sets as much. Just try to get him going fast, try to get him very accurate, and you should be very, very good to go. And honestly, Dwarf Crypt will probably be very easy for you because he has amazing, like I said, amazing crowd control. AoE stun on a 3-turn cooldown, right? When fully booked, that is so good to have. And in Dwarf Faction Wars, it's gonna be crazy, okay? Assuming you have damage to actually kill everything, you're gonna be perfectly fine, okay? So definitely a very good champion if you've been struggling with Dwarf Faction Wars. Moving over to Arena, I'm gonna show you guys a little bit more in-depth stuff about this in just a second. Honestly, most of the video will be on Arena. As far as clan bosses go, I personally don't think he's bringing anything like crazy to the clan bosses. Demon Lord or Hydra. Hydra may because of the provoke. You could do the Head of Decay, you could provoke that. He has increased defense, so he could work, okay? If you're kind of struggling putting together a team on normal, you could definitely put him in a team, right? If you have no better option, then he's going to be your best option. Throw him in there, right? But assuming you have better options, he's probably not going to be in your team. He's not going to be in any of my teams. Now, as far as the Doom Tower, last but not least, it's going to be the same story with all these areas, okay? If it's PvE content, he's going to be amazing because he can lock down the waves, that AoE stun. AoE stun is such a good debuff to have, and on the low cooldown like he has it, it's just a great debuff all around. I mean, Seal of the Drakes brings a lot of other stuff. She brings the AoE stun, but it's not 100% chance, right? It's a 2-hitter, but Seal of Drake's AoE is attacks 2 times, each hit 20% chance, 20, 30, 5. So a 35% chance each hit has a place in the stun, which is very, very good, but it's still not 100%. So definitely having that 100% chance to place a stun is just such a good debuff to have. If you're struggling on Doom Tower waves, he can definitely help you control those waves if you don't have a very good control option. Now, what I want to focus on today is the Arena, because I believe a lot of people are struggling with Tag Team Arena, building some good Go Second teams. So Godfard has been talked about a lot being a good Go Second Arena champion. And honestly, when I first started trying him, what I was doing is let's go find a team. Most of these aren't going to be great because they have strip champions. They'll probably just kill us anyways. But also, what I was doing for a little while is I was putting in an attack nuker, okay? So I was doing Skull Crown. Now with Skull Crown, she does the unkillable herself, which is good, but the issue is that Goffred, since she's so squishy, she's usually the first to die. But since Goffred, I guess, the way the coding works, he thinks that she's going to die, so he protects her. She's protected, and she has unkillable sometimes, and sometimes she has full HP and block damage, which is kind of weird. And honestly, I'd rather her, if she's going to get unkillable, just to not be protected. Protect somebody else who's about to die. So what I realized, actually, is that it's doing a lot better with a champion like Ragash, a champion like Solus, a champion like Magnar. Having one of these champions who can actually survive pretty well by themselves has been a huge difference, because now, instead of protecting the champion who's going to be doing the damage, like Skullcrown, the champions who are going to do the damage are protecting themselves. They're fine. They're defense-based champions. So a champion like Skytouch Shaman, who will probably die, is the one instead getting the protection. A champion who's doing the cleanse, a champion who's supporting your team. That champion really needs to survive. So now he's actually protecting her in most cases. So let's go ahead and jump into this and I'll show you guys. But the other benefit is that bringing a champion who's based on defense, okay, their damage is based on defense, like Ragash or like Solus, actually synergizes so well with Goffred, because his A3 ability, the one that cleanses decreased defense and weaken, which seems a little bit weird to be honest, actually works out so well with champion like Ragash, because now Ragash defense is like basically baseline, okay? He has 60% decreased defense and he has 60% increased defense. But now we're going to try to cleanse this if we don't get true feared. But now Ragash has just 60% increased defense. So we took him back to, he was at baseline, we took him above that. We cleansed that decreased defense. So now his damage is going to be really good. So bringing a champion like this, I think is going to be a lot better than bringing an attack-based snooker. Because if it was an attack-based snooker, he would still have decreased attack on him, doing less damage. Obviously, if it's an attack-based snooker, they're going to still take less damage overall, But I think overall, bringing a defense-based or even an HP-based nuker is going to be best with Goffred. Now, this team is not a great example to go against. Madame Saris, Kymar sometimes. The strip teams are usually a little bit difficult to fight with the Ghost Second in general, unless you're very, very tanky. I can do some of them okay, not all of them. It just really just depends. Getting the cleanses is very important. Let's see how this one goes. Honestly, if you don't have Sky Touch Shaman, you can use really any cleanser. Sky Touch Shaman is super good against Torment because Sky Touch Shaman does the block debuffs as well as the cleanse, which you really need if you're going to go against Torment. Whereas champions like Battle Sage, who just does a cleanse and increase attack, work perfectly fine against literally any other team. But then again, Sky Touch Shaman also does the heal plus the revival and death. So this is a very solid team, honestly. If you have these champions, I definitely recommend building this. Now, with Seeker, placing the increased defense on everybody, we'll go ahead and increase defense on Ragash because Seeker didn't proc it on Ragash, it seems, or Maddle may have just cleansed it. So Seeker, very good in this team. Sandlash Survivor could work very well also. There's a lot of different options you can use. This is just what I'm using so far. I don't know if he's procced that ability yet, that block damage. Maybe he has, maybe he hasn't. Okay, so he already did. There's no reason to use this A2. It hits kind of hard, like I said, 3.5 multiplier. He's going to have increased defense on himself a lot of the time. So it's not a terrible multiplier by no means, but it's not amazing, okay? He's not going to be your main damage dealer, at least not in most cases, okay? Now, my Ragash, he's not the most crazy geared. I'll show you guys all these champions gear. Basically, we have Seeker in a bolster set, some shield, just extra protection. We have Sky Touch Shaman and immunity. She's going pretty fast, just so she can cleanse. Also, she places this fear on herself. If she has immunity, she won't place the fear on herself. So that's what I did over on her. Goffred is in Stone Skin, and Ragash is in just some damage gear, not even in Savage. So he's just in some decent damage gear. I'll turn this on auto. We'll try to do a few more matches. But if you don't have Seeker, you can use Sandlash Survivor in the back. Now, as far as Sandlash Survivor versus Goffred's positioning, I think Goffred, I like him in the back just because I think it makes the most sense as far as the team position and the way most of the coding on champions works. Like Sandlash Survivor, you definitely want her in the back. Seeker, you want him in the front. So be mindful if you switch it up. Obviously, I'd say you can use Ultimate Death Knight, but I feel like Ultimate Death Knight plus Goffred is kind of like a weird situation. With Goffred, I think you should bring him against AoE champions like this, okay? If you're not going against AoE champions, if you're going against enemy Rotos, bring Ultimate Death Knight. Don't bring anybody else. There's no reason to bring Goffred most of the time. Some situations maybe, but Ultimate Death Knight in a Stone Skin set is going to protect way better against champions like Rotos than Goffred will. Majority of the time, okay? So just be mindful about that. There's really no reason to bring him and Ultimate Death Knight. I don't think. Maybe somebody has some unique teams, but we'll try a few more of these. Keep going a little bit. Like I said, I know a lot of people are struggling with Gold 3, or not necessarily Gold 3, just Tag Team Arena in general. Now, that's pretty bad. So the Trina just obliterated me. She obviously killed Ragash as well as everything. Now, this situation may be okay. Now, if you have a Leors could be very good. Skull Crown, she wasn't built to actually one-shot people, but Leo could definitely be a decent option. Now, what I was talking about the positioning, if I take Sky Touch Shaman and move her positions with Ragash, I bet Ragash gets the protection from Goffred versus Sky Touched, okay? Gotta pay attention to this. Hopefully, it works out well. Let's see. Okay, no, so Sky Touch still got it, oddly enough, but Ragash is alive this time. I don't know what happened there. Pretty weird, honestly. Let's go ahead and see. We'll go ahead and try to provoke. Maybe, oh, I guess she got a stun? I don't really know what happened, honestly. We'll just stun everybody. If it was 100% chance, we would have stunned everybody just now. But obviously, I don't have it booked, so it's not 100% chance. But hey, still pretty good. I mean, 75% chance is definitely not a bad, unbooked chance to stun everybody, right? Assuming you have a good accuracy, it's going to be fine most of the time. Now, the thing with Goffred, if you build him the speed I have him at, he's probably not going to get around to a second protection. Since the protection is an active skill, then it's got like a 4-turn cooldown, I believe. It's not going to happen all the time. And he does stun the person who ends up getting the block active skills or the block damage activated, which is interesting. Now against Genbo, don't even bring him against Genbo, honestly, because Genbo has a special ability that I didn't realize until recently, that actually, if the effect is critical, if it hits critical, the effect cannot be resisted. Which means if he does an AoE attack, kills everybody, I think the block damage goes up and he reduces the duration to nothing and then it's gone. So Genbo just kills everybody. So don't bring him against Genbo. It just doesn't work, okay? You'll learn the hard way if you try to do that. I'll do a few more matches. This team I've been liking, though. I think it's a relatively free-to-play team. Honestly, Skytouch Shaman is actually a very good counter to Kymar, because if Kymar strips her, she can actually cleanse the sleep with her passive ability that damages herself, which is very nice. Granted, she does have a chance of placing fear on herself, which is not so nice, but either way, definitely a potential option for some people if you need a Kymar counter. So right here, she cleanses sleep, and the regular fear did not activate. Luckily, it's just a regular fear, which means it's not going to lock her out of that ability. I'm going to go ahead and stun everybody to hopefully let my team get back around to take a turn. Okay, Skytouch Shaman gets block damage, which is amazing because watch this. Oh, okay, well, she's going to heal a ton, okay? She heals based on 50% of her missing HP. So if she's missing 99% of her HP, she's going to heal the equivalent of what? I guess about 50% of whatever her HP was. So she has 50,000 HP. She's going to be healing for 25,000, which is incredible. So with Magnar, you don't have to worry about decreased attack or decreased defense actually affecting his damage. He's just HP based. Now, he has kind of long cooldowns, so you do have to keep that in mind. But Magnar, even Sir Nick, they're all great options to bring as a damage dealer with this team. So I'm liking the defense nukers, but if you don't have a defense nuker, maybe you have Magnar, maybe you have Sir Nick somehow. If you have no defense nuker, but you have Sir Nick, you have some weird luck. Maybe you beat me in the Sir Nick champion training a long time ago. But either way, there's a few options you can use with him. This is the one I'm liking the most. Seeker with Skytouched, as well as Goffred, seems to be working pretty well. Now, Seeker is very important because of the increased defense whenever he's hit with a crit. So definitely keep that in mind. This passive ability right here heals his champion and places 60% increased defense buff on all allies for 2 turns when hit with a crit. So it's definitely a nice ability to have. Here, we'll just go back to, we'll try Solus, okay? And then we'll try Leo one match. Obviously, Leo is going to hit incredibly hard. So if you have a Leoris, definitely consider bringing him. He is the one situation where having the decreased attack might not be terrible, because if he's at 1 HP, actually no, because the block damage is going to keep him up pretty high HP. So just try out a few different nukers. I like the defense-based nukers. I like the HP-based nukers. They've all seemed to work pretty well for me. Unfortunately, we got some debuffs, some buffs going over there. That's going to mess me up. We'll try to strip them. There we go. We stripped the buff. Easy. Solus is A2, strips some buffs, which is pretty cool. All right, so there we go. Skytouched is keeping everybody alive, which is an amazing skill to have. Guys, if you have Skytouched and you're looking for a Go Second team and you're not using her, honestly, get her up. Put her in some of your Go Second teams. Let me show you guys the gear once we finish this match, and then we'll jump back in and then try to use some Leoris. Okay, so here we go. Just real quickly, let's go ahead and click. I'm not going to fight that team. We're not going to fight this team either. We'll just show you guys the gear real quick. So my Godfard, you already seen him. Seeker. We have some reaction on other people. If you have reaction gear, throw it on the other people, because obviously the longer you can get that block damage from actually activating, the better it's going to be. I mean, obviously, because if it doesn't activate, then it's going to activate later on. If you can survive the first nuke, that's going to be the most ideal situation. Skytouch 259. So basically, Skytouch is the fastest. She cleanse. Seeker, increase attack, increase turn meter. Very solid. He's in a bolster set. Everything else is pretty simple. This team's going to be annoying because of Warlord. I hate Warlord. In case you guys didn't know, I absolutely cannot stand Warlord until I pull him. Then I may have a little bit of a different story about that. Let's try this team, though. So here, I don't know if there's any epic defense-based nukers. Are there some that I'm missing out? But let's try Leo. Okay, I already talked about Leo. I mentioned him. I kind of want to put him in this spot just in case I assume what happens is they hit with the AoE ability, and whatever champion. So this is the first spot. This is the second spot. This is the third and fourth. I assume it registers the damage on the first spot, second spot, third spot, and fourth spot, and whichever spot gets the first lethal hit is the one that gets the block damage activated on them first, is what I assume. I don't see why it would be any different. Okay, so Leo got the block damage on him, which is pretty cool because Skytouch didn't even die. Maybe, so Trenda's stunned. I wonder if it reduced her damage. So Trenda's is a 2-hitter. I wonder if the first hit damage registers on everybody. It procced the block damage on Leo, and then stunned her, and then the second hit didn't even do anything. I wonder if that's what happened. It may have been, because Goffred does stun the person, or have a chance to stun the person, whenever they proc or they deal damage to that block damage skill. Maybe. That's diving a little bit more in depth than what I do in this video, and what I actually tested today. But obviously, Leo's going to work very well. Make sure you bring a cleanser, because having that decreased attack does feel pretty bad in most situations, but these teams are going to be a little bit higher. than what a lot of players may be facing. Obviously, this is pretty close to Platinum Arena, so maybe in your level of 3v3, maybe the teams are a lot less difficult. But so far, actually, let's go ahead and wrap this up, guys. 21 minutes, that is way too long. So if you're at this point of the video, make sure you leave a like, subscribe to the channel. But Goffred, is he worth pulling for? I guess it's going to be for you guys to decide. For my account, am I going to use him? Probably not, to be honest. I'm probably going to just throw him, maybe not in the vault. I might actually use him in Faction Wars. I got to see what champions I have to go alongside him in Faction Wars. I may use him in Faction Wars. But as far as 3v3, I think I have better options in general. I have Necrit, I have Ursuga, I have Duchess. I have a lot of different options for go second teams in 3v3. I have decent amount of Stone Skin gear. So I don't think he's going to be used there. But for a lot of players who don't have the options that I have, I think Goffred could actually be a pretty solid champion for go second teams in the arena. I think he's a very solid champion for a lot of PvE content if you don't have the good control abilities that he brings. So yeah, I mean, if you have the shards, I think he's a good champion to pull for. You definitely you're gonna get some use out of him. Let's speak English here. But yeah, best of luck if you do end up going for him. It is a 2x ancient event, so maybe you pick up something else along the way as well. Best of luck, guys. Hopefully this video came out soon enough for you guys to make that decision, and I'll catch you all in the next video.